Well, hello, listeners. This is an audio commentary track for Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Episode 6. That's how it's spelt out on my screen on Disney Plus right now. We are watching the Disney Plus version. This is a commentary track intended to be played alongside viewing of the film on that platform, which means, unfortunately, this isn't despecialized. It's not. I mean, heck, we're starting out with a very too contemporary 20th Century Fox logo. Joining me is Michael. Go ahead and say hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us. And it's time now for my favorite film in the saga. Surprisingly, I'm finding a vast number agree.
There are a lot of people I have run into who prefer Return of the Jedi to the first two films. At first, I thought this was kind of surprising, and now I'm not that shocked by it, really. But go ahead and let's queue up to 0000. Do need to mention our buddies at Nork.net. Use the promo code FRY45 to get 45% off the best flatware in the system. So, you're on Disney Plus. You got Return of the Jedi ready? 000, and hit play now.
And I gotta say this, I still do miss that 20th Century Fox thing with the new movies.
I don't hate that logo we just saw. But the new what they've done to it since then I don't care. I don't care for it once it got all sweeping around it, and I don't care for it in the present state with the. Isn't it just 20th century, right? Or have they done that yet?
Uh, yeah. Just goes right to Lucasfilm Limited, the flashy thing. Now, thinking back to when this was originally released theatrically in 1983, you really get the impression things are just so much more on a grander scale with where the saga is heading now. People that loved the experience seeing A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back in theaters, and then Harrison Ford being an equal star with Indiana Jones now in between. The first
Well,
film being the
consider
hype of
also that
introduction, and then the second film ending on a cliffhanger. You have a third movie
they
where we
have
now have to tie up the loose ends.
they have an extra year in between these, whereas the new ones it was every other year was a continuation, but they would have a Star Wars movie out that Christmas anyway.
Yeah.
And now you have much more anticipation. People didn't know where it was going. I think that there definitely was a feeling that it wrapped up here, and you see entertainment change a lot after Star Wars. Everybody wanted to be the next thing, and there's a lot of room opening up for it. And Star Wars was not really beloved to me as a child. It was more like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the big thing. If Star Wars had kept going, maybe things would have been a little different.
Well, to me, it just defeats the purpose. Star Wars should be like a summer blockbuster movie, but then you have to go to the theater during the winter time. Now, say right here with the
Well, it
opening
was a
crawl.
plan to ruin everybody's Christmas, is what it was.
Exactly. With the opening crawl, that grabs us right here. Luke Skywalker has returned to Tatooine, to his home planet, the very place he swore he would never go back to.
Effects in this one are very strong for most of the movie. I'm really impressed by the speeder chase in the forest.
Oh, yes. This movie in particular gets intense with action scenes.
And there isn't another movie from 1983 that looks this good. Your average 1983 movie looks pretty garbage.
I've heard
I
a
think
lot.
this one they probably have the most spaceships flying at any given time,
Yeah,
especially the battle at the end.
they do. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain this movie, plot-wise, it's too much more like A New Hope. Why? Because they rebuild another Death Star? If you want a movie that's plot-wise A New Hope beat for beat, that movie would be The Force Awakens.
I didn't think it was that big of an issue that they tried to rebuild the Death Star. I mean, okay, maybe it could have been better to have done something unique, but I guess rebuilding your weapon and maybe making some upgrades makes sense.
Yeah.
A little nervous. He's going to get choked out.
That's exactly what he's thinking. And see Vader wave his hand there like, yeah, get right to it.
I felt like Vader was a chunky boy in this. Like he put on some pounds.
Interesting thing I remember seeing this theatrically. In the original unaltered version, now, we knew it was James Earl Jones the whole time doing the voice, but he was only credited for Return of the Jedi.
Oh, so he only has credits in Return of the Jedi?
Yes, in the original
Or
theatrical
theatrically?
version. But for the special edition, he's credited for all three films. And that's another thing I want to mention. This was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters. This was May 1983, and I had a much more enjoyable experience seeing this in theaters then than I did seeing the special edition. Why is that? Because there was a dude with his little 2-year-old sitting behind me, and they were just chattering non-stop throughout the entire movie, starting with reading the opening title crawl out loud. And at one point, the little one threw his drink cup towards the seat in front of me. Now, before any of you say, oh, well, Michael, you were a little kid in 1983, I was 6 going on 7, thank you very much, and even then I knew how to behave myself in a movie theater.
Yeah, I never had an experience at the movie theater where I was the obnoxious kid. But every time a child has sat behind me, it has been a complete disaster.
Yeah.
We did have some special edition stuff right here. A bit of a wider view showing a bigger door on that shot. It seems a little odd that Luke
Okay,
is kind of offering up
watch
his
this.
droids here, you know?
Oh, come on, that was the weakest knock ever. Even if anyone was home, they wouldn't
Oh
have heard
boy,
that.
ain't no one going to be listening for that, yeah.
Now, I saw this originally theatrically in 1983 with my mom and my sister. They are not even the biggest Star Wars fans, and even they had a great time.
This is a fun one. I think some people could say that The Empire Strikes Back was not particularly fun, but this one I think brings the fun, and I do not have an issue with the Ewoks. I think there needs to be some diversity in the size of our aliens across the galaxy. Why can't they be small, little
Exactly.
teddy bear looking guys?
And this one in particular gets so much more ambitious in terms of cast and crew they have. Cast in particular, they had to bring in so many extras just to be these creatures in Jabba's palace. Like that little gatekeeper droid thing. I believe that was the voice of one of the sound engineers. And we got this spider droid going in the background.
I only recently learned that Jabba's kind of right hand man here is a Twi'lek,
Yeah, he's
right?
coming.
But all the other Twi'leks, they seem to be women and green or blue or something, whereas he's pink. So is he an albino Twi'lek male, or is that what Twi'leks males look like?
I think that's what they look like. Yep, there's Bib Fortuna, played by Michael Carter, who should look familiar to some of you. He was also the subway victim in American Werewolf in London 2 years before this.
Is he a particularly tall guy?
Kinda. But the funny thing is, I always thought that was him doing the voice too, and it's not. It's Eric Bowersfeld, who also voices not only Bib Fortuna, but Admiral Akbar. So it's like, that's why their voices are so similar. For the longest time, I thought it was Michael Carter and Tim Rose, respectively.
Yeah, if you can get a voice actor, you got to get them to do multiple voices, economic wise. Lucas liked to move his films in below budget, and was and still able to deliver. Whereas now it doesn't seem like there's that much concern.
Now, what was Bib trying to tell R2 there when he was kind of checking him out? Like, hey, are you a service droid? Do you serve drinks? Maybe something of that nature.
Perhaps. Can we balance a tray on your head?
3PO's probably freaked out here. Ugh, it's like entering a haunted house. I mean, Jabba and his minions, they're basically the mafia of the Star Wars universe.
You know, they call it Jabba's palace, but it doesn't really strike me as that palatial. fortress, maybe.
Yeah. A palace. It's not
You know,
exactly
they do an
homey.
excellent. For 3 movies, they keep introducing memorable characters. I thought Yoda was one of the best characters ever introduced midway into a franchise. Jabba the Hutt. Everybody knows Jabba the Hutt too, right?
Yeah.
He
And
doesn't stick around too long to get obnoxious or get some kind of weird thing going where it's like, oh, but he's sympathetic. He serves his purpose. Salacious Crumb, right? That's the lapdog.
yes. And Tim Rose operated the puppet, but it was a different guy doing the voice.
They had a thing
Just
about
that evil
naming stuff
cackle.
that wasn't named in the movie, just kind of named on what they do. So I guess he eats the crumbs, so he's Crumb. Now the Twi'lek girl there, the green one, she gets killed, but in the special edition, which we'll see, they actually had her come back. A good 14 years later to play the role again to get some additional shots.
Yeah. And of course, we see Jabba the
So
Hutt
she had to
and
stay in shape.
we see Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna during the pod race in the Phantom Menace. And a lot of fans have commented that kind of takes away the mystery of who Jabba the Hutt should be. If you're watching them in sequence from episode
I
numbers.
have not considered that. People talk about preserving the reveal that I am your father, but not who is Jabba. Any idea what Jabba the Hutt may weigh on Earth, that is? Earth units?
Hmm.
Could be 1,000 plus, maybe?
At least. I remember seeing the behind the scenes things. They had to go through so many different designs to get the puppet Jabba to look just right. And for the unaltered original version, that's what makes it hold up so well for me. Just blending in so much live action of puppetry for Jabba's palace, especially a little later on when we see the Rancor. And this right here, is this the Gonk droid? Okay, so it's establishing, do droids feel pain? Yes, they do. This little torture.
Well, the first movie gave us droid rights issues. Hey, we don't serve droids here. Now we have droids being tortured. But we don't end the franchise with a big droid rebellion. We're free, anything like that.
Yeah. Now, I do know doing the voice of this droid right here, EV-99, was that of Richard Marquand, the director.
Oh, I watched the film that caught George Lucas's attention, Eye of the Needle, not too long back. Wasn't particularly infused. I guess George Lucas just liked the fact that he could make a movie under budget. Which it doesn't sound like it takes that much to impress George Lucas then.
Yeah.
But if that's the understanding of it, then you get the sense that this is more, despite George Lucas not being credited the director, his vision through and through. Which in a way possibly foretells how things change and have gotten to with directors now, where the director's kind of just the fall guy while the studio calls all the shots on the movie. Oh, buddy. Here
Oh,
comes
yes.
the new song. Probably the least well received addition to the special editions.
Yes. I will say that about Return of the Jedi. As much as I love the movie, it does suffer from the worst of the special edition changes. This being one of them. I love the original song so much better. It's more catchier and sounds like an actual alien dialect. This, what are we listening to here? It sounds like baby talk. I mean, I appreciate what they've done, blending the old footage with the new to make it look seamless. But we got these singers right in our faces. We got Sice Noodles now being a CG thing. Yeah, the puppet with its mouth barely moved. But what's more objectionable? That's the debate.
I guess they didn't really go to any effort to update the CG on this, whereas they did with Jabba the Hutt in the first movie. When they added him there, they have different versions of him, but I'm not seeing anything different about the textures here.
There's added shot of Ula falling into the Rancor pit.
Now, in the original, she does go down there, right?
Yeah, she goes
But
down,
maybe we don't see it.
but we don't see it. We hear her screams,
Okay.
and she's breakfast.
What do you think they make Jabba the Hutt out of? They have to make a puppet that looks slimy.
Clay, for one thing, and well, just for the kind of shots for using the puppet, but they had to build an actual
Something that I
thing
didn't
that puppeteers would
appreciate
be
until
inside.
I didn't really appreciate Luke's arc in the sense of becoming a Jedi until the blasphemy that is the newer films made Rey an OP asshat from the start. But you don't have Luke Skywalker do much with the Force for 2 movies. He doesn't get to fight anybody, and then when he does, he loses. And now he's well versed and can kind of do as he pleases.
Yes.
But even then, there seems to be some checks and balances, some restraint in what he can and cannot do. Whereas now, I feel like Rey Skywalker could kind of just do anything she damn well pleases, and the audience would believe it. I mean, shit, Palpatine is so strong at the end of the Rise of Skywalker that you kind of think, how did he just want the Death Star to get blown up and lose? You know, because like he basically has god powers in that movie, so it kind of makes it seem like he doesn't even need a Death Star.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Just everything has to be discarded to appreciate anything before it.
Okay, that was a funny little bit earlier where Boba Fett was kind of flirting with the dancers. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think they added that. I think there were added shots of Boba Fett. Not necessarily that one, but I'm pretty sure him kind of checking out the dancers was a special edition thing.
And 3PO got that green slime on him after Jabba slugged him out.
So Leia's disguise, is that a cyborg
She's disguised as a
or
bounty
an
hunter.
alien that has some implants?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because like the face is kind of metallic, right? And that headgear appears to be fused in, not a helmet.
And did she tell Chewbacca the plan? Like, okay, I'm gonna dress up as a bounty hunter, pretend you're my captive. As we remember in A New Hope, Chewie hates
Surely
being held
Chewbacca's
captive.
in on it. Surely Chewie's in on it. I mean, had to see her put on the outfit and go over this.
And there we just saw Lando a second ago. So there's got to be some
Do you
redemption
find it
for
kind of
him.
surprising that Lando has well, not necessarily a bigger role, but more to do in the franchise? Where I guess in a lot of ways, it kind of seems like his character could have just been left to the Cloud City. I mean, there's not everybody has to come along for the ride, right?
Yeah, but people like the character and they wanted to see more of him. So, made sense bringing him back. Oh. And how much can Leia can see of that with that helmet on? Like, she hits the chimes.
No telling.
And she's creeping around here. Everyone's asleep.
By the way, I think Carrie Fisher, at the height of her powers in this one, the bikini thing, looking pretty hot.
Oh, definitely. We'll get to that.
You know, Disney won't sell the Slave Leia bikini, like officially licensed. They're not allowing that now.
And right here where the carbonite slab lowers on the ground, don't you think that would have woke someone up?
Possibly.
And I love how this film in particular, just some sound effects we have, the crew uses things like from whatever they had available. That could have been just a dumpster falling on the ground to do the sound effect there. All the laughter of the creatures in Jabba's palace just going to the zoo recording animal laughter. Some sound effects for doors opening could be like a freezer door opening up. So all that time the carbonite slab
I'm assuming the process to get
had a laser.
I'm assuming the process to get them in there was similar to just making a mold.
Yeah.
But they just had a giant vat for him to lay in.
There's just a little switch to cut him loose, just like that. And how long's it been since he's been in there?
You think maybe that preserves you, like the cryo sleep in Alien? By Aliens, it's 50 years later, but she ain't 50 years older. I'm thinking he's been in there for a year or so. I'm not sure.
You see how he was rubbing his eyes when Han came to there? It's like when you've been asleep for so long, you just rub that sleep dust out of your eyes. Like, was he having trouble seeing it first? Oh, not anymore. Got some romantic
I do
action
feel
going.
it's a surprise that Leia is the bounty hunter. You didn't see anything beforehand to really tip the hat that that would be her.
Element of surprise.
Everybody was waiting. He must have been pretty suspicious of the bounty hunter. It's not just one guy found them. It's everybody waited quietly like a surprise party. The guy that just took him away is rather Rick James looking.
Yeah. And this guy here in the red jumpsuit in the background, he's got that kind of 80s rock star look.
Princess Leia, we are about to get super freaky.
We can't bear to watch either.
Now, Han is still having some vision problems. Now, I did see Solo, a Star Wars story, and of course these two met while locked up, essentially. Similar circumstance they try to make it out to.
Yeah, I do know Han has a sidekick who calls him Kid throughout the movie. So it's like Han called Luke Kid throughout the original trilogy. Okay, so that's not original anymore.
And here comes our hero.
Enter the Jedi.
You think he just lifted the door himself with the Force?
He could have. You never know. But look how so much more calmer, so much more in control Luke is. You get the sense that he's matured so much. And right here, they're kind of teasing us. Is he tapping into the dark side a bit? Where he force chokes these Gamorrean guards? Okay, there was an addition.
That's a Doug, right?
That Doug going down the stairs. Like, was that supposed to be Sebulba or an alien similar to him? Same race.
It really couldn't be unless, because if this was in the 97, I guess they could have had it planned out, but I'm thinking you aren't supposed to know exactly who it is at the time.
No, I think that was added for the Blu-ray. This is the Blu-ray version we're watching.
You think that was added for the Blu-ray?
It was added for the Blu-ray. I looked into it.
Okay, because I don't recall seeing it on my VHS tape.
Yeah, the Doug was never there originally. Not even when the special editions were released theatrically.
It was certainly not worth the effort of adding.
Yeah, it wasn't even there for the 2004 version either. Jabba doesn't like being woken up. Now, what's that thing behind 3PO? Looks like a rotisserie or something. Jabba's got his own chef.
Yeah, I could see them putting a pig on it. Though I guess you wouldn't put a pig there. He's got pig soldiers.
There's Leia in the bikini.
Yeah, looking it really actually looking in better shape than most alleged bikini models in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue this year by a long shot.
Uh huh. I've seen promotional photos of her wearing that bikini. She's like by the ocean.
Yeah, I think there was like a Life magazine, or there was a magazine where they did a lot of shoots for the build up into this one, and I think that's where the shots are from.
Okay, now look carefully in just a few moments. When Luke falls into the pit, right there on the far left, right there, there's Dengar. It's like if you just blink, you'll miss
Who?
him. Dengar, the bounty hunter we saw in Empire Strikes Back. The human one wearing the white suit and the bandages around his head.
Oh, I'm looking. Okay, I see him.
And getting the Rancor to work, I know that was a challenge. They tried having a guy wearing a suit, but ultimately what they did was they scaled it down to a puppet and blended in the action using a mixture of that, a little bit of stop motion animation, and just to make it appear massive
Some of
and
this looks
threatening.
fine. Some of it looks fine. Some of it doesn't. So far, it looks okay. I think they have gone through some efforts to clean this up because the composite work was pretty noticeable the last time I watched this, which I think might have been a theatrical version, DVD.
Yeah, right there where the Rancor devours the Gamorrean guard. Where that was all puppetry. And there's not even any special edition things added in here during this sequence.
No, but they've certainly cleaned up the composite work.
Definitely. The picture quality looks amazing here. And right here where the Rancor
Because a
lifts
lot of
Luke,
this was not looking black. Like, it was all bluish in places, and
they could have just had just like a giant mechanical claw airlifting Mark Hamill out of the ground.
yeah, it was a popular thing to do. Thinking of King Kong. The 70s version, that is. There's the giant claw.
Yes. And we had seen a snow monster with the Wampa in The Empire Strikes Back. Basically a Yeti. But what is the Rancor supposed to be? Like a giant reptilian thing?
Man, that's a tough call. I'm not so sure if it's a reptile or not. It's kind of goblin-esque also, and I wouldn't consider a goblin a reptile. And then you have like the Rancor's keeper cries for him. Like, that's a touching moment of nuance that one doesn't really get so much out of newer things. The concern for the creature.
Uh-huh. Well, everyone has a pet they love. So he's no exception. By the way, that's
Could this
Paul...
guy not have been ordered to wear clothes?
Yeah. By the way, that's Paul Brook playing the Rancor Keeper. He was also the auctioneer at the beginning of 2004's The Phantom of the Opera.
I haven't actually seen that.
He was also in For Your
It's
Eyes
Gerard
Only.
Butler, right?
He's got quite a good filmography under him as kind of supporting roles here and there. I don't know if that was actually him crying there.
It'll
like
be
his
okay. We'll
his
grow you
actual
another
voice. They could have
Rancor
had someone
someday.
dubbing that too.
Just noticing that kind of elephant-like trunk creature in the back.
Yeah, I
Some of
notice
these
that every
creatures in the
time.
back, do they? I'm not so sure they really even need to be there. Like they're not adding anything. Did we need something that elaborate made to stand in the background?
And that thing hovering on the ceiling right there next to 3PO. Like, what is that thing?
Oh, there we go. We got some meat on the spit. Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's almost lunchtime. Accent on that, they're being taken to the Sarlacc. But this film in particular is so much more eye-filling than the first two.
And a little bit of new stuff right there.
Yep, there's a special edition change with the Banthas. I guess to remind us, yes, we're in Tatooine, we know.
And is it just this shot in the original
Right here.
instead of what came before it?
Yeah, right here.
It
Where
doesn't
we
even
just
show
see,
the exterior.
yeah, we just see the
Because
exterior.
it shows the exterior, right?
Yeah, the exterior of the skiff
Okay.
kind of hovering above the sand. Okay, Jabba's palace has its own little air gravity lifter. Like, was that a section of the palace?
No looking out the window.
Well, the stakes are certainly
The
higher.
guy's kind of a collector, isn't he? He wants to collect. I'm collecting a princess.
Starting with this film, we start right off with this rescue mission. Kind of like what Luke was on, trying to rescue his friends from Cloud City, but as it turned out, they had to rescue him.
Once you notice not Rick James, you can't not notice not Rick James.
Yeah. I never noticed that before. It's a good
What do you
Good
feel about
observation.
the addition of the tentacles and the mouth and the Sarlacc pit?
It's okay. It does make the Sarlacc more alive and more threatening, so to speak, but it does stick out to me too. Like, why was that in there? It's like, some things were fine the way they were, seeing them, the original versions, for so long, but now they added in this thing, this beak, which looks like one of the piranha plants in Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, it's something that I think they could have revisited and made look better. But it does. The original pit was a little underwhelming.
But with the original versions being so, shall I say, obscure anymore, maybe it's like in George Lucas's mind, you know what? Forget the original versions exist. What you're seeing here, with these special editions, this is what you saw in 1977, 1980, and 1983, respectively. This is the movie you saw back then. This is what it is.
With Disney having control and them just looking for ways to make money, couldn't they just very well say, "Hey, we're going to have a theatrical run of the theatrical film, and then we're going to put it up on the Disney Plus"? Some extra things. It's already there. They may as what would it hurt, right?
Exactly. But there's just so much legal red tape they have to do.
I'm not so sure that Luke's escape plan here is that good. He's got one guard on his side, and the lightsaber gets thrown his way, and he's kind of just fortunate that no one is competent.
There was a Wilhelm scream a moment ago.
Yeah, there's actually several different stock screams that are reused. Everybody knows the name of the Wilhelm scream, but there's several that people have heard that you just don't necessarily know the name of.
What are your thoughts of Luke having a blue lightsaber and now a green lightsaber? Because until the
He
prequel
lost
trilogy,
the
it's the
blue
first time we
one.
see the different color blades.
He lost the blue one, I can totally see him now having a different lightsaber, and to show us it's a different one, it is a different color. Getting choked out.
And that was the last we see of Boba
He's
Fett, at least in this
probably
one.
into some choking. Probably has Salacious Crumb go around there and choke him occasionally. I can't remember. They take out Salacious Crumb. Is that like something a droid kills, maybe?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Leia's adding that kill count. Sort of a pirate ship sequence, isn't it? You know, you got the guy walking the plank, we're jumping, boarding the other ship.
And look how so much Luke is going to town on everyone here. He's so much more agile, too.
Yeah, I can see a lot better now. You know, you watch these films from 30 plus years ago, you notice like all the actors have fillings in their mouth, like silver. And you kind of wonder, like, does that ever work out? Like, if you're playing a caveman, you can't have silver fillings, but it's always there.
It's a brief glimpse of Luke's robot hand, where the guard shoots him. Barely. Oh, that looks familiar. She could have kissed him and said, "For luck."
Yeah, and you know, also swinging in, very pirate movie like, also swinging across a rope. Don't want to make anybody think we forgot the droids. A good explosion.
And nothing added there for the special edition. There's a deleted scene with a sandstorm where they get off the skiff and arrive at their ships.
Parting ways. Gonna go check in on Yoda. Do you get the feeling that he's been visiting Yoda frequently?
After this long? Maybe not.
No, I mean
he did say he had to come back to complete the training.
No, but I'm saying he's been visiting Yoda on occasion to get training up to this point. Because he has improved since the last movie, so maybe he had more additional training. We're about to see the Emperor face to face, right?
Yes. And I love
First time in the flesh.
I love how sinister the music gets when the Emperor is introduced. John Williams really kicks the score into high gear with this film in particular.
Look at all the extras we got on hand here, too.
And we got these
probably a collection of all the different
guards,
troopers.
who, of course, they had the rip-off in The Last Jedi of the Praetorians. And these...
Who are these guys behind Sidious?
Those are his dignitaries. If you kind of go to Google Images, just go to promotional photos, we see stills of the actors wearing those costumes. We don't
Now the
really see
Imperial
much of them
Guards,
aside from this movie.
I did have to deal with the Imperial Guards in the Nintendo 64 game Shadows of the Empire, but they don't do anything in this. Only together can we turn him.
And look at this practical army. Everyone's standing in attention for the Emperor's arrival. It's like Hail the King.
Well, the Emperor is above King.
The monarch.
Yoda, I like what you've done with the place. Oh, wait, you haven't done much at all. How do you think Yoda built his hut? Or did he find it?
I believed it was there the whole time. And he just made it his home and
abandoned.
Dressed it up as comfortably as he seemed fit.
I still much prefer this puppet Yoda to what we've had since.
Same here. And of course the masterful Frank Oz performing the character.
How old is he now? I know he doesn't for the most part do Yoda at this point.
He just said 900.
Well, I mean Frank Oz.
Oh, how old was Frank Oz here or now?
Nowadays, because he's not really Yoda anymore. Like, when they bring Yoda in for something, it's voiced by somebody else.
He turned 77 a couple of months ago, but he's, as far as I'm aware, pretty much retired.
So he's really
from the Muppets.
about in line with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's not far from that, right?
Yeah. Like, it's someone else doing Miss Piggy now. It's someone else doing Fozzie Bear. All of the characters he's famous for. I mean, maybe he'll come back and do some voiceover work for Yoda for some animated things. But I haven't really watched The Mandalorian either. Does Baby Yoda talk at all?
No. And that's not... They call him Gogru, and I guess he's in the books, the legends. But he doesn't really do anything, which I guess, in a way, he's supposed to be 50 years old. But he's not very well developed, because it's kind of like... So you're telling me it's going to take hundreds of years for this race to become efficient? Like, to catch up with humans who are, like, 18 years old? It kind of makes them seem, like, not that great with the Force in a way. If their development time is that delayed, kind of just makes them seem not that great.
Now, as you pointed out in the last film, it's like, if you just close your eyes and listen to Yoda, tell me he doesn't sound like Grover.
Oh yeah, totally Grover. A more serious Grover.
And things definitely go in a different direction when we go from The Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi. It's action-packed when it needs to be, and in moments like this, it's somber when it needs to be. Where we know Yoda's dying, it's so much more dimmer, so much more calmer on Dagobah. It's like, you almost get the sense that Luke's come back here after however long it's been, and as you pointed out, did he visit Yoda at all in between that time? And now he comes back, and is everything the same? Is this the same Yoda who trained me? Like, maybe I should have completed my training.
Calm.
Maybe I never should have left. Like, Luke must be filled with some regret.
There's no room for calm in Return of Skywalker, the Last Jedi, whatever the latest one was, right? But in addition to this, don't they say, I'm ready for the trials? You know, in episode 1, doesn't Obi-Wan say, I'm ready for my trials? Yeah. I don't think Luke Skywalker's taken the trials, and Yoda's just kind of fibbing to him, like, oh, yeah, you're a Jedi now. Okay, go. There's nothing else to it. You're a Jedi. Don't really have all the stuff needed for the final trial test. None of that. I don't have any other helpers on hand to judge you. So, you Jedi.
Or maybe he has that power simply because he constructed a new lightsaber. There was to have been a deleted scene towards the beginning where we see him construct it. And right here we're...
You say deleted scene, so does that mean it was shot?
I think it's available on the extras if you buy the Blu-ray.
Oh, his ear really bent a lot right there.
Yeah.
Against the pillow.
And I don't know if it's lighting on set so much, but right here where Yoda fades away, you see the blankets kind of crumble with his body when he vanishes. And there's lighting here with the fireplace going. Like, they could have had the fire just gradually die down with him. And the music swells, and the emotional impact, it's just all right there.
R2, I know you don't like little guys dying, so can you just stay over here and fix the X-Wing for me? Because I'm just going to talk Yoda by myself. I'm expecting him to die, so you just stay here.
And look who's back.
He looks a little more fully realized than an apparition when he was walking through there. Now he's got the glow around him more prominent. Is this the first time hearing the name Anakin Skywalker? I think he says your father in the first movie.
Yes. It's the first time we actually hear by the name of Anakin if we're going chronological order. But that kind of had some debate I've also heard about the prequel trilogy. Like, would it have been better if the whole backstory of Darth Vader would have best been left a mystery?
Well, in a lot of ways, things are better left a mystery because when you see it play out, it gets to be disappointing. It's hard to meet expectations.
Yeah, it's like anyone can come up with their own version of what the prequel trilogy would have been in their mind.
Well, it's like I frequently mention Wolverine. For the longest time, what separated Wolverine from any of the other X-Men or superheroes is really not having an origin story. And so not seeing his past gave him mystery. And then I think in 2000, they just go and make an origin story comic for him. And then they say his name's not even Logan, it's James. It's like, what a load. And of course, it didn't play out great in a movie either.
Excuse me, sorry. And now that we're more familiar with the saga as a whole, episodes 1 through 6, or 1 through 9 now, if we're just... hear the dialogue between them as they go here. It just connects at least the first 6 films so much more. You see how it
Try
all
explaining
becomes a story.
to J.J. Abrams.
But
Try to explain to J.J. Abrams that people can sit and talk in a scene, and people would not hate it.
then we get to the sequel
What's this
trilogy.
sort of ship here? The very roundish ship, kind of almost Star Trek-like.
Yeah.
Is it just one of the cruisers?
Yeah. It's like Alliance headquarters. And speaking of extras, they bring
Star
on,
Trek
my
ships.
God. Look at everyone
Star Trek
here.
ships have much more of a saucer aspect, whereas in Star Wars they're a cruder, angular in many ways. Now, do you think all these guys were minutes ago wearing stormtrooper outfits?
I never thought of it that way.
Mothma, right?
Yeah,
Something
Mon
like that.
Mothma.
I always never really understood her role because it's like, wait, is she the queen? Like what? Because Princess Leia here seems to be listening to her. Oh, nice computer modeling on this one too. The way more advanced than what we saw in the '77 film.
Oh, there was the medical droid. One of them, anyway. And here's Admiral Akbar. Played by Tim Rose, but again, the voice of Eric Bowersfeld. So, that's why Akbar and Bib Fortuna sound so similar.
I do recall a university, I think it was Mississippi, that wanted to have Admiral Akbar as their new mascot, but George Lucas wrote him a letter saying, sorry, he's not available, he's off saving the galaxy. I have to appreciate that they give him some winking capacity, though it is a very lethargic wink that doesn't quite meet his whole iris, but too many of these faces are just stiff for my liking. Yeah, there's a medical droid, you're right. So many of the people in this movie have died in the last, 5 years. It's kind of
Excuse me.
shocking.
Here's
Like
Dermot.
we've lost so many faces here recently. Who's next on the chopping block?
Here's Dermot Crowley
Maybe
playing General Madine. Now, a little trivia: his beard was fake, kind of glued on.
oh, is
And
it?
there was someone else dubbing him for this movie. Because if you hear the guy doing interviews, he's got an actual Irish accent. Ah. Look who's back. Not a moment too soon. And right here, the tracking shot of this docking bay, that was all a matte painting.
Oh, I think we are soon going to see the Coke fingernail of Carrie Fisher. You know about that?
We'll see.
I think she puts her hand up on somebody's shoulder here, and it's going to be noticeable. How she'll have like an extra long fingernail on like her pinky.
Yeah, Lando
Of
gets
course,
to
in
fly
the Solo movie, we get to see how the game that where Han Solo won the ship from him. You know what? Maybe it was in the prior scene when they were having the briefing there. I thought it was a little after, but
And then they bring Lando back in Episode 9. I thought
oh,
first.
here it is. No, wait, there's the
Whoa!
fingernail right there.
Her fingernail
Index
is.
finger.
This does look longer. Or something.
That's for scooping the cocaine.
Didn't notice that before. Anyhow, as I was saying, I thought for sure they were going to kill off Lando in Episode 9. But they didn't. It's like, okay, I guess
Well, it
that's one
seemed
thing
like
they
they
did
had
right.
been bringing
One
back
thing.
people to kill them off, so you had to. What they do is they bring back the old guard so that they can kill them off to make you, with no one left to root for you. Now you have to like the new people we created.
establishing
I don't
shot
really
right
see a
there.
lot of construction on the Death Star. It and it doesn't grow through the movie, you know? Like it's not almost operational by the end of the movie. It just kind of stays stagnant.
There's a better look at Palpatine's dignitaries.
Um,
Two of them,
yeah, I'm
anyway.
noticing all the people in the background now, this viewing. I guess they're doing the purple, trying to be, was it the Greeks or the Romans highly regarded the purple? It was expensive dye. No speaking role for you guys.
Well, they have names if we look them up, like in the Star Wars database. Simalu,
I
Krenblistaveni,
believe they call it the Wikipedia.
yeah, or Wikipedia. Ars Dangor, Janus Grijatus, Sate Pestage.
Do they have action figures? Now with bowing action. And is that Vader's Star Destroyer?
Yep, that's the Executor. Didn't look so massive far away, but as they approach it, now it sure does. Are that is Han nervous at all? Like maybe they'll know who it is flying that shuttle? Maybe they'll recognize that's the particular shuttle that was stolen?
Outdated codes, but they'll work, right?
An older code, but it checks out. Oh, I was about to clear
Then they
them,
make
but
up some like token. They made a whole MacGuffin token chase bull out of it in the that last Star Wars movie.
I think Vader intuitively knows who's on that shuttle.
Well, it's kind of odd to seeing that they have like a chill talk. I mean, like Luke Skywalker can just kind of show up and be like, "Hey, we're just having a little meeting. I'm gonna go back to doing my thing, whatever. We don't have to fight right away. We don't need any guns drawn." Oh yeah, he knows something's up.
There's some subtle things there, too, with when we see Darth Vader looking out the flagship, just with his back turned from camera.
Now, is the forest all California,
Yes.
or is it just the redwoods?
It.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much all the redwoods. Like, when you see footage of Hayden Christensen as Anakin in Attack of the Clones, when
I'm
he's...
saying, like, is this California also? Like, well, I mean, every one of these shots.
I'm pretty sure it is. Just watching off in the distance with his back turned, and
Now, these are called stormtroopers, right? Though they do have different armor.
these are the biker scouts. They're stormtroopers, but
They
they're
call them biker
yeah,
scouts?
biker scouts. It's like they're stormtroopers, but they're a different kind of stormtrooper. Hey, it's me. Mm-hmm. Only two modes to Han Solo. Frozen Carbonite and Full Speed Ahead. Speaking of Full Speed Ahead, here we go. Fantastic scene here with this speeder bike chase.
Yeah, I've seen much of the behind the scenes, how they do the speeder bike. Some of it's still kind of a mystery in a way. The the wide shots look so good. Now, of course, some of the closer stuff where it's obvious they have like a rear projection or a is it just rear projection? It might be a green screen type thing or blue screen probably.
Blue screen.
But as they go, this looks really impressive.
Oh, definitely. And just
And I also I so enjoy the part where they throw the guy off and he just hits the tree. Not the explosion. He does the barrel roll. None of that. Just throws the guy off and limp into the tree.
yes. And look at the environment, the surroundings. Just beautiful
I
footage
like the
of the
sounds
forest.
too. Like they do such a good job with the sound effects, and like everything has a unique sound about it in Star Wars, or at least it used to.
The forest, the scenery, just
This looks like matte work they could have cleaned up, though. You can see some of these outlines. Bam, love that part.
same here.
There's this nice echo of their engine as it goes through the forest. It's so cool.
And what makes this work so well is even for the unaltered original version, there's no really special edition changes added in, but they're blending in live action with working with models, working toys on the speeder bikes, and they had a steady cam with someone just holding it and walking it through a section of the forest. If I'm not mistaken, it took them a year to shoot just this scene alone. And the sound effects where the speeder bikes can accelerate or decelerate.
I'm wondering how high those can climb, because she goes above them.
And how they can maneuver around, cut each other off.
It sure seems to me like they would all die. They would all crash into a tree. There's just so many trees.
Like there. There's always got to
She's
be
like
some.
relieved. Well, I got him. Go to sleep now.
And right here where the speeder bikes interlock when Luke's going after this last scout. But there's always got to be some impressive high-speed chase in all these movies, whether it's the trench run, the snow speeders, here the speeder bike, the pod race.
Consider how this would look if made nowadays. The camera would swirl around them 360 for like an elongated shot, like just this extra long take of the camera swirling around, almost Matrix-like. Slice. Do
Yet
you
another
think they're able
example.
to get away with the PG? They got the PG going, right? But there's quite a bit of death and bloodshed throughout most of this. Does it help that you don't know who's inside the Stormtrooper outfit so that you could say to the ratings board, they're not human, they're aliens or cyborgs. They're not human, so it's not real violence?
Couldn't say.
How long did he have to walk to get back to them?
Considering how far he went in that speeder bike, that had to have been quite a walk.
Yeah, they must have been patient
Excuse
waiting.
me. And how did he know where Han and everyone else were? He
I
regrouped
don't
them so
know.
easily. Ooh, here we go. Now, until
Introduction to
what?
Wicket.
Until what was it? When Clerks was released? As I recall, when Return of the Jedi was released theatrically, everyone loves the Ewoks. Now there's so much complaints on them. It's all this bandwagon thing. Like everyone
I didn't
all
really
goes
hear a
by
lot of complaints
consensus.
about Ewoks for a while. They did add blinking eyes to them, which I kind of like. It's not distracting. It makes them more realistic. There's limitations of these puppets and masks and things that kind of need to be addressed.
Well,
Is this the first role for? Oh,
Warwick Davis in the
tip of
suit.
my
Yep.
tongue now. Yeah.
But it's the
He's in several Star Wars movies. He's in playing different characters, though. He's in Episode 1, like alongside Jabba and them during the pod race. He's also in Solo, Star Wars story. And that's probably due in part because it's directed by Ron Howard, and he did Widow. So I think the connection brought him in for a small role there.
yeah, and if you haven't seen Willow, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
I did. I did watch Willow some weeks back, and I think I probably should have made a video on it and didn't. I had been watching movies faster than I can make videos for them.
I saw your Who Framed Roger Rabbit review. It's like by the title you had me, you almost had me there for a minute. It's like, what? How can you not like Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It's a classic.
Well, I was kind of making fun of all these kids that are upset that I didn't like this game Hollow Knight because I played the first area and did a video on it. That's why I said I gave it a fair 3 minutes. Yeah, and no, that movie's really good. I watched all of the live action cartoon movies recently, and I just last night or so, well, the other night I guess, I watched Looney Tunes Back in Action. So I did Space Jam, and I've got Looney Tunes Back in Action in the pipeline. Might even be posted by the time anybody hears this.
I love how Warwick Davis is so articulate with playing the character. Like how he's got a strong sense of smell.
He's pretty young, too.
Yes,
isn't
and
he?
yeah, what was he, 10, 11 at the time? 12, 13, but it's also to
No,
establish that there's some life here on Endor.
Yeah, I mean, there's
some creatures.
It's a planet. They have their own thing going on too, right? You can't just you guys show up and it's all about you. And people, I think the disdain for the Ewoks is it's like the stormtroopers are defeated by teddy bears. They had help. I mean, what do you call Han Solo and Chewbacca there for? I mean, like, they're doing stuff. It's not like it was just teddy bears took them out.
Yeah,
there were traps set.
A whole squadron of rebel commandos.
What's this sort of stun stick these guys got? Not quite lightsaber?
A staff.
Don't get to much do anything with that, do they?
Not really. But they're an enemy you fight during the Super Return of the Jedi on the Super NES.
I have the ultimate gaming chair.
And on the Lego Star Wars games. And look at the windows to Palpatine's little chamber here.
Sweet windows, huh?
Yeah, kind of spiderweb shape to symbolize he's the schemer behind all of this. He's the spider luring the flies, so to speak.
Oh, nice. Nice. I hadn't thought of it that way.
But at least we understand what his role is leading up to Return of the Jedi. With The Rise of Skywalker, he's just brought back strictly for fan service. When I first saw the trailer...
I think what upsets me more about that is you don't know the circumstance with which he's there. It's so ambiguous. Is this a clone that we're looking at right now? Can he just not die?
That's what I'm wondering.
What is it that it takes to kill him? Like, it's so many more questions raised than there are answers. And that's the way they do stuff now because they realize they can get away with it.
Yeah, more on that later. But...
Leia's hat.
It's what Palpatine is. He just sits back in his chair, builds Death Stars, laughs like the Joker. But you really get the impression Ian McDiarmid just thoroughly loves playing the character.
I don't think he's in a ton of other things so much, but have you seen Dragon Slayer?
Bits and pieces. And he was also...
I think it had ILM was working on that. And so there's like a bit of a Lucas connection thing, and maybe that's why he's there.
And he had a supporting role in... what was that movie with Steve Martin and Michael Caine? Yeah, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I suppose too, because being directed by Frank
Did
Oz.
he? I'm
Yes,
trying to remember.
yes.
What
That
did he do in
so that
that?
could have been, they knew each other, so they can come back and Frank
Oh,
can
I
cast
watched it
him.
not that long ago. I'm trying to think what his role
He
was.
was Arthur, Michael Caine's servant.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yes.
I probably realized it at the time and then have since forgotten.
Nice little trap there. Okay, you grab the meat and the net just springs everyone up.
The Ewoks are hunting some big prey, aren't they?
Yes, and now suddenly there's a ton of them surrounding the rebels.
I
They
started
come out of
watching
hiding.
Caravan of Courage, the Ewok movie. Like they made two Ewok movies, I think 84, 85, made for TV Ewok films. And it was pretty insufferable. A lot of Ewok gibberish with a voiceover narration trying to explain what was going on. In the vein of the Christmas special with the Wookiees, but they had like giant creatures walking around in the forest. They kind of looked like any of Jabba's guards, but 30 feet tall. And maybe that's what they're laying the trap for.
And although unmentioned in film anyway, but if you look at the end credits, like all these other Ewoks have names. Papalu, Logray, Chief
The
Chirpa.
witch doctor looking one. Pretty varying height, though. I mean, all small still. I think you get to connect pretty well with the Ewoks. Like you got some fun moments with them. There's some somber moments also during the battle.
And I guess it's your demographic audience too. I mean, me, I was 6 going on 7 at the time, so it's like you gotta have something to make the kids laugh and love and grow attached to the certain characters. Like, oh, aren't they cute? Especially a little later when we see the baby Ewoks.
Well, when people want to slam this movie, they make it sound like all of a sudden the Star Wars characters have to hang out with Sesame Street, and that's really not the case.
I never thought of it that way. Never.
Well, they act like all of a sudden they stepped into a kids' TV show.
It's all how you interpret it. Me, I see this as it's the final climactic chapter if we're going episodes 4 through 6, so, well, whatever order you want to
It was
pretend is your
better
head
when this
canon.
had a sense of, yeah, when this had a sense of a conclusion instead of this will never go away.
Yes.
When things feel like they never stop, it makes me check out. Like, I don't want to start watching a show that had 9 seasons because it's like that's a lot to do. But if it's a movie series that just is never going to stop, it's kind of like why get started anywhere when this part will probably be irrelevant later. Like tell your story and then tell a new story. Is that so hard?
Yeah, we'll get to that, but
I, this is the kind of the biggest spotlight shined on C-3PO at this point, right?
yeah,
He gets to be the boss for a minute.
they're all bowing to him like he's their king, their god. There's the baby Ewok. We gotta have something in there to make girls in particular or kids go, "Oh, isn't it cute?"
Yeah. About to do some more spit roasting.
Now, a little while later, when we see just how beautiful Endor looks at nighttime, that's something to look
Why
out
did they
for.
decide not to kill her, whereas she's just a human also?
Well,
like
she befriended
like
Wicket,
Han and
so okay, that was explanation enough.
well, she's not gold. Um, Whereas it seems kind of like the males are fair game here. Also, major hair downgrade for Carrie Fisher right now. She does much better with some kind of bun.
Clever use of languages too with this alien dialect and the Ewoks. Like to this day, I'm still wondering what doba 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 means in Ewokese. And they say it more than once. Doba doba doba? Like, what does that mean in Ewokese? Was it just something they made up?
Boom must mean explosion.
Force levitation. Because he saw Yoda do it with his X-Wing in the last movie. Close your eyes, calm your
There
mind.
is a process to getting someone to fly in the earlier Star Wars movies. And now it's like there's no concentration involved. It's, oh, I guess we're flying now. I guess this is getting grabbed. That's about it.
There was a guy who did an excellent review of the Force Awakens Pawn Story games. If you've seen his review on YouTube, he made an excellent comment that, and what you pointed out earlier, just Luke grows, he evolves, he fails, in fact, so many times throughout this movie. But if it were Rey throughout these movies, she would have succeeded in everything she did. Look at these tracking shots. All the torches and
Okay,
lighting.
considering, okay, you're saying if Rey was Luke Skywalker
It,
in these movies.
yes, if it was Rey,
You know what's weird is, come to think of it, if we were playing the same dynamic, then Luke Skywalker is missing out on a dark apprentice of Darth Vader who's cute for him to maybe fall in love with. You know, like he has to choose between the good girl or the bad girl kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't really go that with him. He doesn't have the. It does seem odd, particularly at the time of this, that you have your hero doesn't have. There's no pairing up for him. Instead, the sidekick gets the girl.
we're seeing a lot of baby Ewoks here. A lot of them kind of cower and close their eyes when 3PO's getting dramatic with his storytelling.
Princess Leia's giving this kind of like, I could just retire here type thing.
Yeah.
Isn't this place great? You know, I don't mind their tunes either. I think some people might be a little upset it's their music that kind of plays out the movie at the end, but it's their celebration on their planet, the forest moon.
I think by running time, by the soundtrack, this movie's longer. John Williams
Now,
had so
is
much more to
this
do with this one.
is this where Luke says, "Guess what? You're my sister," but she knew already?
Yes, we're getting to that.
Ewok knees, Ewokese. That's what it says in the subtitle.
I love that word. He keeps telling Han keeps telling 3PO this, and keeps turning around and telling him something else. Now, getting a little ahead of myself.
And it's done a little comedy like, but it works effectively enough without being a big deal.
Yes.
You can't try too hard with the comedy in this. You lose the tone of the film.
Yeah. And now the discussion between Luke and Leia. Who was their mother? How does Leia remember her, but Luke doesn't?
I think Leia's remembering adoptive mother who also evidently died.
Yeah, the Queen of Naboo. That was the only mother she really knew, so to speak.
No, she's not from Naboo.
Or the Queen of Alderaan, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Whoever Jimmy Smith's wife is.
Yeah. There was a discussion on Twitter. Name your favorite non-action scene in all of Star Wars. And I chose this moment right here. The the discussion going back and forth between Luke and Leia. This one scene alone, it's such a profoundly beautiful scene between brother and sister. And the music just carries it so beautifully.
Does this kind of set up The Force Awakens and that trilogy with him saying, if I'm not around, you can be the leader? Well, then she is kind of left alone to be the leader and have the powers.
I never thought of it that way.
Setup is not the opportune way to phrase that, but it seems like something that they went along with.
But good point now that you brought that up.
I've always known. She's even telling him to run away, which is what he ended up doing later, right?
Yes.
Run away from your troubles.
But so many people have argued that's not how Luke Skywalker should be. After this film, he should do what he does in the expanded universe, rebuild the Jedi Order.
Well, I felt like Yoda shouldn't be running away from the fight with the Emperor in Episode 3.
Yeah, with Yoda at least it made sense. They had to get away, they had to regroup. Now, look how beautiful the cinematography is in this movie. The lighting, it's dark in one spot here, a little lighter in the next. There's just this kind of dim blue lighting around.
Well, there isn't much care or concern for that these days because they know they can fix things in post. So how things end up is a reflection of however much effort they're willing to put in.
I credit so much of this to the fantastic cinematography from Alan Hume, who, if you look up his filmography, he also shot For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. I think he also shot Eye of the Needle for Richard Marquand. Hold me.
When you watch newer films, you notice so much more the slower downtime in older films. And it's weird to think that older films are typically shorter and they have much more stand and talk acting parts. Whereas nowadays, there's not too much concern about we need to get some acting in. They probably could have put a shadow on that lander better right there when it came down.
There was an ad at one of the ones we saw in The Empire Strikes Back, and again, look.
Yeah, but it never gets in on the fight, does it? It's ATST for the battle.
Yeah. Even looking out the window of this bridge when Darth Vader meets up with Luke when he's taken captive. Look how beautiful Endor is at nighttime.
Yep. Giant trees everywhere.
The AT-AT's just motionless outside now.
Mentioning Anakin again.
So that's how Luke was transported.
Well, it doesn't really seem like it has much it can do here. There's a lot of tree in the way. Not the best vehicle for getting around. Really, not the best vehicle for any occasion.
I don't know if you have the subtitles on like I do, but Emperor,
Oh, I
the
do.
E is lowercase. If we're referring to the Emperor, shouldn't the E be uppercase? Just a thought.
I just saw that there too, yeah.
Your skills are complete. Okay, so if you have the aptitude to build a new lightsaber, that makes you a Jedi Knight now?
Well, I don't think king is necessarily capitalized, even if you're saying the king. Now, if you say King Richard, then it being the title in the name, I think it would be. The dark side, you don't know the power. I haven't really been that impressed by what we've seen of it to this point. Okay, the dark side lets you choke, and in this movie, you get some lightning abilities, right?
Yes,
But
we'll
he
get to
was
that.
tempted to the dark side by being told he can bring Padme back to life, which turned out to be false. Although years later, it seems as though Palpatine can bring himself back to life or clone, or like that's everything gets vague.
Well, that's another reason why Episode
Cloning is
9
the
messed
true power of
everything
the
up.
dark side.
Palpatine never knew the secret to immortality. Only Darth Plagueis knew the secret. And who is Darth Plagueis even now?
I guess we'll have to find out someday, right, Disney?
Oh, don't tell me. Let me guess. A good question for another time. Right, JJ? Right.
Oh, right.
And as you pointed out, is this the Palpatine we're seeing in this movie? Is this the real Palpatine? Or is it a clone? The Palpatine in Episode 9, is that the real Palpatine? Or is that a
Well,
clone?
the episode 9 does such a great job of destroying everything that still had credence in the original trilogy, to the point now that if you want to consider episode 9 canon, this movie becomes pretty irrelevant. Because our heroes quite possibly didn't even defeat the Emperor, which at least going into the first two of the new trilogy, at least you still had, well, but our heroes defeated the Emperor. Now you have to wonder, did they accomplish anything at all?
You can skip episodes 1 through 6 entirely and just watch 7, 8, and 9 and still get the same impact. Or you can just watch episodes
Well,
1
I
through
think, hold
6.
on, you said 7, 8, 9. I think you mean just watch 4 through 6, right?
Yeah. You could watch 4 through 6.
Because why would you want to watch 7, 8, and 9?
Yeah, you could just watch episodes 4, 5, and 6 and have a meaningful tale told to you from beginning to
But
end.
what they did was they made you dislike Luke Skywalker, and they made him run away. They made all these things happen. Han Solo just kind of goes back to being a smuggler again. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh, also they didn't defeat the Emperor, and now he can do whatever he wants. So it's like any accomplishment they had just gets overridden.
Just read the Throne Trilogy by Timothy Zahn. You'll get a much more alternate episode 7, 8, and 9 with those books.
Now, do they have security camera at the front here? Isn't that how Han Solo is able to trick them to opening the door? There's not a lot of the way of video camera or security camera in Star Wars, whereas it seems like there could have been opportunities to, hey, we got video in of this surveillance recon, but we don't really see it. I think they did have a camera out front here or did he just fiddle with them on the intercom? Oh, I do like seeing the Ewok speed off.
By the way, this is Kenny Baker playing this Ewok right here.
Ah. Yeah, this is a little too much bike for him to handle.
Not bad for a little furball, though, as Han Solo points out. All they needed was a moment of distraction.
Carrie Fisher looking pretty good here, by the way.
A few moments ago, C-3PO said something to one of the Ewoks and Ewokese. Naboo, a good tac-tac. Naboo, okay, so is that where they got it with the name of the planet Naboo?
Maybe Naboo and Naboo, not quite the same. Yeah, they're just going to keep chasing the bike.
It would eventually
We're
crash
playing
if no one's
tag.
operating it.
I don't think eventually is it would in seconds,
Not
given
even
the
eventually.
tree circumstance. Yeah, it's assumed.
Okay, where are the security cameras, if any? They made that look easy if there's just one guard to subdue.
Yeah, but there is a moment at the end of the battle. Don't they look in on a monitor showing what's going on outside?
I think so. We'll get to that. The build up here with Darth Vader bringing Luke to the Emperor was so much more
Now,
dramatic
is this a
here.
throne room?
In the
Is this what's considered a throne room?
yeah, the throne room, the Emperor's chamber, call it what you will. But then the Last Jedi, we're repeating that again. Kylo Ren brings Rey to Snoke, and Snoke was basically irrelevant the whole time. Now he gets killed off just like that, and he was really just a puppet controlled by Palpatine. Really? Like what?
Yeah, of which there's several Snoke clones, just in case people all forget that there was a Snoke earlier. Maybe. And that you can chalk all that up to an incredibly stupid decision by what's the gal running Lucasfilm who thought it would be a good idea to have a J.J. Abrams come aboard and build his story, have him leave, bring in Ryan Johnson, give him full authority, and then bring back J.J. Abrams to try to. It's like a battle to retcon each other.
Yes.
Incredibly stupid decision.
And then there was this all this
What's her
chatter.
name? Catherine. I forgot.
Kathleen Kennedy.
The Force is Kathleen Kennedy. The Force is
Yes.
female. Yep.
And then there was all this chatter that Ryan Johnson was going to make his own, like his own trilogy.
And that's not officially canceled yet. I think it's like you're supposed to forget that that was announced.
And now I hear all this chatter. There's going to be an episode 10, 11, and 12 in 2022, 2024, and 2026, respectively. What else is
Well,
there?
why wouldn't there be? There's easy money to be made. They obviously don't need to tell a story, really. You could put. I guess if you're going to have something go to theaters, it's going to be Star Wars, Fast and Furious, Godzilla, superhero. Not a lot in between. The movie theaters will only have the biggest movies.
I love the red lighting on the turbo lifts leading up to Palpatine's chamber. Like,
Does he have some pinkness around his eyes, or is that a light put in there?
no, it's definitely makeup effects, or he's got some special contact lenses to give it this evil glare.
Yeah, you can see as he moves through the shadow, like parts of him light up more pink than others.
Especially his wardrobe.
Now, he's not as old of a man in this, but he's playing a much older character.
Yes. And that's the thing, too. Ian McDiarmid was still fairly young here, but then,
Wasn't he like maybe early 40s?
yeah, years later, then he's the younger Palpatine and he's older then. And here's where the music really gets kicked into high gear.
Your deity said, wait, come back, and you didn't even wait. Always rebel scum.
Yes. By the way, that was the sound design engineer Ben Burt playing that officer who yells, "Freeze!" His character's name? Commander Dyer. Aptly named. And there's Wedge. He can get Poe a run for his money any day. And yeah, he's got a different title in all movies. Here he's Red Leader.
Yeah, he finally made his way up the ranks to Red Leader. I mean, consider how quickly Lando became a general. I think it's only fitting. Which, if Wedge is such a good pilot, why is he just manning a gun on the Millennium Falcon in Episode 9? Like, shouldn't he have been given a ship to fly?
You'd think.
It's a trap. Mucho TIE Fighter action. What do you think about going inside the Death Star core compared to the trench run? It seems somewhat similar, doesn't it?
It's similar, but I guess so much more.
I mean, I guess you can't blow it up the same way twice, right? Like, they couldn't do, hey, we have to do the trench run again. Obviously, there would have been, heightened security around the, vent? What do they call it?
Just the tunnels leading inside the second Death Star. There's just so much more there.
Oh, they probably wouldn't. Yeah, they probably wouldn't actually have that vent for the bomb to go into again. They'd learn their lesson.
Yeah.
So you'd have to attack a different way.
But there's so much there leading inside the Death Star to make it's so much more treacherous.
Yeah, well, and similar to the speeders in the forest, I don't know how anyone could come out of that alive. I'm okay. You're a good pilot. You're going pretty fast. You're going to hit something inside the Death Star. I just don't see any other way around it. Full-size ATST standing right there, looking good.
Ooh. Not looking good here. We're surrounded. Come on, give us a diversion, 3PO. There you go. Ooh, bombs away.
Now calling the battle horn.
Okay, we get the
I
sense.
feel like it was off camera, but they may have been given some training and instructions on what to do, right? I mean, they did lay low to spring the trap.
Yes. And then when they finally get into action, we see how no nonsense these Ewoks are. Now it's just absolute mayhem.
And for people to say that they're defeated by the teddy bears, there's a lot of assistance. It's not just strictly teddy bears. I'm seeing a lot of humans doing things.
It's definitely not just the Ewoks.
I had a Micro Machines playset of this battle, and you could take the ATST, put it at the bottom of the hill, and load it up with the logs. Push the button, and the logs roll down it. They did use the glider in the Caravan of Courage movie. So maybe they frequently do some gliding around. I'm going to try to trip this. It doesn't quite work. Yeah,
Tie it.
that works as a little comedy thing right
Yeah.
there.
Or tie it to a tree. Something.
They have good traps and some not as good. Can't all be winners.
With these bolas right there. And Wicca tries it.
And smack. Yeah.
Okay, we gotta have a little comedy here and there.
But the part where like one of them dies and then like the other one comes over and is like all sad, man, that's one of the more touching moments in all of the trilogy, really. I mean, well, I wouldn't say it's in the top 10, but I mean, it's not the big emotional thing as some.
It's one of them.
Catapults, those will do some damage. Let's just not say just teddy bears.
But it's just a challenge to take these AT-ATs down at first. Same thing with the snow speeders trying to take down the
He's still
AT-ATs.
working on the foot of. Yeah, he's working on the foot of that one that they drew the rope over.
They're shooting at them, shooting at them. It's hardly making a dent. But then there's this little trick. Okay, that worked.
So what are they doing? Just getting too close to the shield?
Trying to stay away from the
And
shield, if
getting
anything. They're
destroyed?
Yeah, and they're just surrounded. They're being pursued by TIE fighters left and right. It's like outfly them, outmaneuver them, get the TIE fighters to crash into something. Well, Admiral Piet's got more to do. He's fully in command now, and he doesn't have to worry about being choked out, at least this time.
Hmm. Yeah, he's got the Morticia lighting on him in the eyes right there. I wonder what the buttons do on his chair. Like, this one brings me a Diet Coke. Ooh.
Could bring him a cup of coffee, too. Especially that little monitor thing that's... We'll see it a little while later, behind Darth Vader. Looks like a makeshift coffee machine, even. Again, Han will have that shield down.
Yeah, he insists on calling him... Oh, I just hit my mic there. He insists on calling him Han. And in the... and they kind of give a reason behind that in the Solo movie. It's almost intentionally to kind of take a jab at him, but to do it here when he's not present doesn't make as much sense. In the way that they try to retcon it, being why did they call him Han? Oh no, R2.
Ooh. Now what? Alright, we'll do it the hard way.
I don't think anyone watching this thought, oh, R2-D2 just died. Because C-3PO kind of exploded and got put back together in the last movie.
Yes.
So, and you're watching this one, you're probably thinking, he'll be okay.
Here's what you were talking about right here, where...
Oh, no. And then, like, it's like, Dad? It's like Simba and Mufasa right here. Oh, no.
I always thought it was the Ewok's mom.
Or whichever. Oh. See, they have actual stakes. They're brought into the battle.
Well, they're racing against time here. It's like, how long can Lando and the other ships hold off these pursuing fighters? Right here, we got a pilot blows up, dies, another pilot dies. The situation's looking desperate indeed. And the Emperor's clearly taunting Luke.
The Alliance will die. Not, you're not usually called Alliance, just rebels, right?
Yes.
I guess it's the Rebel Alliance. But you don't hear them say the Alliance so much.
Well, now that everyone's joining in on the fight, you could say it's the Alliance.
I'm really confused about the dynamics of like how to kill the Sith, because it's like you can't use you have to kill them not angry, or you could become to the dark side also. Like that seems to be, or is that just the trick? Like he's trying to trick you into thinking if you kill him, you become just as bad. So therefore, don't do anything. But ultimately, it works out because it's like Darth Vader throws him down, so that preserves Luke.
Tarzan yell there with Chewbacca.
Yeah, that was added in special edition.
No, that was there theatrically as well.
Are you sure
I
about
am
that?
absolutely
I don't
positive.
think so.
Absolutely positive. And here's some more not cast, crew members. Richard Marquand, the director, was the one driving the ATST, I'm sorry. And the co-pilot is co-producer Robert Watts.
It's pretty tight in there for a Wookiee, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boom, actual explosion in a movie. And now that we got one on our side, this will be a lot easier.
And the other Ewoks are cheering, like, yay, yay, we're winning now. Like, how did they... Did everyone know Chewbacca teamed up
Someone
with the other
could
Ewoks?
have
How did
seen
they
it
know it wasn't
happen.
just an accident?
Yeah. I think that some of them saw them get inside, keeping an eye on things.
They told them, like, okay, we're gonna hijack this ATST right here. Oh, here we go, right here.
There's something about having a laser gun shootout in the forest that seems very paintball-esque.
And watch how resourceful the Ewoks are here.
Oh, snap.
Got a clothesline. They're throwing rocks at them from above. And were these contraptions there all along, or did the Ewoks kind of put them together, just these makeshift things to take down the AT-ATs?
Well,
ATSTs, I'm sorry, I
I'm
keep
not
saying
so
ATSTs.
sure that they weren't already there, because we did see that they already had a giant net set up. So they could have had a few traps set for all kinds of things.
And the logs rolling down right there to take down that last ATST. Ooh. That had to hurt. But now we can repeat the dynamic from the last film. I love you. I know. Boom, boom, bullseye shot.
It must have been bleeding from the blast. You don't see a lot of blood from the blaster, typically.
No, but from a laser blast like that, you get some sort of burn.
Not the way one would usually fall downstairs if kicked.
That was pretty acrobatic.
See, let the hate flow through you. So he's like, no, I'm not like you. I don't, it's not the fear and the hate path of the dark side stuff. Not for me.
Oh, now Luke's got the higher ground.
They do mirror their previous conflict.
Whoa, somersault.
How did they not slice up those computers?
Yeah, that would have been so close. You can take down those terminals in the Lego Star Wars games and get hearts for them, or coins that kind of build up your score meter.
Oh, this is good enough for me to get out of my chair. All right, so here's the monitor thing. So they have a camera out there, and he's able to trick them into opening the door.
Well, they fell for it. The Han Solo solution, so to speak.
And then the shrug right here, huh? You actually see him do the shrug twice. In the wide shot, he shrugs as they're running out there, and then he does it again, like a second later,
Yeah.
when it's just Han Solo in the frame. I feel like a lot of the Star Wars aspect is lost in the newer films. I think the draw initially was the space action, and then they, over time, they kind of turned it into all force and lightsaber fighting with not much in the way of space conflict.
Just the direction they went altogether. Where are the Sith? Where are the Jedi?
I feel like a similar thing happened in The Matrix, where a lot of the appeal was in the guns, and then Matrix 2 and 3, it's all kung fu.
And now it's Vader kind of taunting Luke.
Now, if you don't turn, I'm going to go after your sister. That really gets them.
And Luke
You leave her out of
snaps.
this.
I remember listening to the original trilogy soundtrack so many times. It took not until the special edition releases for so much of Return of the Jedi score in particular to be preserved intact, especially this moment right here where the choir comes in. Ooh.
Yeah, I couldn't really recall there being a choir used in any of the songs, but that was in the theatrical.
Yes.
Because it struck me as new in the Duel of Fates for episode 1, but I guess they had some of it in the original trilogy then.
Well, if anything, with the Emperor theme, with that humming, that ooh, just something sinister.
He wants to do to him as Vader did Count Dooku here. You kill him and now you replace him, but he doesn't. I guess I don't fully understand the Force lightning because it aged Palpatine pretty quick, didn't it? But it doesn't seem to do a lot to Luke Skywalker. Or is it possible that the lightning took away? Suppose the Emperor Sidious Palpatine, he's got a makeup to look human-like, but the lightning stripped that away, and that's why he looks deformed later.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe,
but
and that's why it doesn't seem to affect anybody else in that way.
Yeah.
Because he could be really quite old if you know he's telling these old stories, right? Of how he had a master that he killed, things like that. So, he may have never actually looked as young as he's presented when he's Chancellor Palpatine.
Palpatine loves that trick of shooting lightning. Oh, does he ever.
I wonder if there's any other sides to the Force. We've got, usually they just call it the Force, and then they call it the dark side of the Force. Is there the lavender side of the Force, where smells can be created?
And here's where it gets so much more dramatic.
And I think this version has the no.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm not going to repeat anything everyone, and I mean everyone, has pointed out. But here is where Anakin Skywalker comes out. And Episode 9 made this kind of pointless now.
It did, unfortunately, and I'm not even sure how, to the extent, because it's like, is this a clone or is this the real Emperor not dying? Like, what are we watching now if you're going to retcon this? Now, apparently the lightning had a huge effect. Lightning had a huge effect on largely cyborg Vader here.
Kaboom. How on earth did Palpatine survive that? Okay, if you're going by the expanded universe, he comes back kind of in a cloned form in Dark Empire.
But that explosion is made by him. It's not something else blowing up. That's him blowing up. All right, we're about to take the Millennium Falcon to places it was not designed to go.
Yeah, look how much more treacherous this particular trench run is.
Yep, just everybody dies right away. You're hitting something.
Look how quickly the turns come. How you have to maneuver your ship around all these different shaped tunnels.
Yeah, they said that only Anakin could pod race, but this looks way more dangerous than pod racing.
Oh, definitely. Not just maneuvering your way through this thing. You've got the TIE fighters pursuing you. You don't have much room to evade a laser blast. Ooh, right there where it took off the satellite dish. That was too close. I agree, Lando. That was too close.
It's astonishing that they've been able to hold out this long in space during this battle with the shields remaining up on the Death Star for so long, and greatly outnumbered, right?
And here's how. So how are you going to take down a massive Star Destroyer? Here's how. Do a kamikaze crash right into the hull.
Well, we also know you could just start to make the jump to light speed and take out the whole fleet.
Yeah, do the Holden maneuver. Of course, we didn't know about that trick until
Oh,
that
didn't you
became a
know that
thing in The
was a
Last
one in a
Jedi.
million shot, meaning you can't do it again for reasons.
I could be wrong, but I think that was some recycled footage of the mouse robots and everyone running away. That could have been recycled footage from A New Hope.
I think we saw some recycled footage of powering up the laser on the Death Star too, with the guys in the big helmets, sliding things around
Yeah, that looked
on
familiar.
the controls.
And look how
Yeah.
cracked Vader's helmet is from the lightning. That lightning really did a number on both of them.
Well, when it hit him, it kind of lit up his skeleton inside. It kind of did that cartoon electrocution effect. You didn't get that on Luke Skywalker. It's not like you saw his bones. Were you disappointed in the face reveal of Darth Vader? Because I was.
Not really.
He wasn't what I thought he looked like. Oh, he's just some bald,
But
kind of heavy
I
looking
I will
guy.
say this. How old is Anakin here?
I really don't know. He looks mid 60s, if I was
Well,
guessing.
the actor
But
playing him, Sebastian Shaw, was in his late 70s at the time the movie was released theatrically. So
yeah, I mean, he doesn't look young, right?
I always got the impression, okay, how old was Anakin when he became Darth Vader? I was guessing maybe in his late 30s or 40s. I always thought of Anakin Skywalker as an older, more mature person by the time he becomes Darth Vader. But
And
in the
instead,
prequel
it's like
trilogy,
he's early
we get
20s.
him in his early 20s.
Well, even then, it's wishy washy with him looking so much younger than Padme when they meet. That why would she be interested in him?
Yeah. And look how messed up
You
he
can.
is.
It's hard enough to pull a girl a year older than you when you're young. Like she's like twice his age.
Look how messed up he is from the volcano burns, and how pasty white his face is from wearing the helmet for so long. And also too, when Darth Vader slash Anakin Skywalker dies, just the way the music swells into it, we hear a very bittersweet rendition of the Imperial March.
So here is the core, but a lot of space available for that, right? Like maybe radiation reasons.
Yes, you could just fire it right at the right spot and just swerve your way around it.
Look, getting out of there, you're dead. You're gonna hit something.
If you get out of there full speed ahead, all the turns you have to make, going and getting out of there in time before it blows. And that was the thing for me, playing the Super Return of the Jedi and playing the Lego Star Wars games. It's you got the TIE fighters pursuing you. You can blast your way out of there, but you got to get out of there fast before
I'm
it
sure
blows.
the newer Lego games are way more forgiving than the Super Nintendo
They are.
Star
The
Wars
Super
games. Yeah.
NES games are insanely difficult, even if you play it in easy mode.
Yep. Deceptively difficult games on that system.
And the shock waves when the Death Star explodes. Okay, that was good. I like
And
that.
we're going to get the galaxy wide celebrations in this cut. Did they replace the Ewok celebration music in this version?
Yes. It just, ever since the special edition, they replaced it. It was only Yub Nub in the original theatrical version.
Uh oh, I've lost the Luke Skywalker, didn't I? You don't have to tell me. What? No, he's my brother.
Well, Harrison Ford was frequently the ladies' man throughout this time. He gets a different girl in all three Indiana Jones movies. He gets Carrie Fisher. He gets Kelly McGillis in Witness. The list goes on.
Your brother? Wait, how? What? How? Okay, I'll go with it. A lot of questions regarding this ceremony thing here. So he doesn't get to evaporate like the Jedi do. Like that seems a little weird. The helmet, I guess, gets kind of deformed in the burning, right? And then I guess somehow that's given to Kylo Ren,
Come, t-
Ben
I
Solo.
don't know. Come to your own
So he
conclusion
kind of
with
gets to hang on to it.
what they
But
retcon in The
but
Force
they kind
Awakens.
of they sort of came up with an explanation for it guiding him to the dark side, because it's like, no, it wasn't actually Darth Vader. It was me, Palpatine, the whole time. I'm still alive.
Yes, but it's a bear. It's cremation, so to speak, I guess. Same way Qui-Gon's body was burned at the end of the Phantom Menace.
And this is Coruscant,
Yep.
I believe.
Bespin,
No,
Tatooine,
Naboo.
Naboo.
No,
There's
there's
Naboo added in
Naboo.
for the special
Yeah.
edition. Well, since the 2004 DVD release, there's
No, wait.
Coruscant.
Okay, the first one was Cloud City. There's
And
Coruscant.
this, theatrically, is
sure.
the first time we see Coruscant. I remember seeing the special edition in theaters, and I'm like, oh my, whoa, this is Coruscant? Wow, look at this. It looks like New York City. It's gorgeous.
Oh, New York City to the nth power.
But it makes the celebration much more impactful if it's taking place from all across the galaxy. I don't mind the change in music so much. It's
I do like that Wedge is brought in for the dance.
more, shall I say, heartfelt.
It's not just the guys that we had over here, but we're bringing everybody in for the local celebration. Everybody that was in space doing the battle.
And did you see that the Ewoks have little stormtrooper helmets as drums?
Yep.
And I love this. Everyone's happy, hugging each other. This,
Much more of a somber celebration music than whereas before we had the song they were playing, I guess, is what we'd be
okay,
hearing.
Vaughn, can we have an agreement? This is where the Star Wars saga would have been a perfect ending right here. Did we really need any more movies after this?
For a good deal of my childhood, it did end here, or so it felt like.
It ends how
And
we
then,
want to
if you're
see the
confused
characters
about who the young boy is,
happy and triumphant together. You get the sense of so many more great adventures they'd had to come, which is what we got in the expanded universe.
well, now they're taking Star Wars to the streaming platforms. We're going to see more about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his bachelor days on Tatooine, I guess.
Boom.
We needed to know about that, right?
Directed by Richard Marquand. Oh, that was great.
Okay, so more you have to say here?
You know, I hear so many on this bandwagon that Return of the Jedi is the weakest film in the original trilogy. Like, every trilogy has that one film that everyone sees as the weakest of the bunch. Like, with Indiana Jones, it's Temple of Doom. With The Dark Knight, it's The Dark Knight Rises. With the original trilogy, it's Return of the Jedi. You know, it's always this bandwagon thing where everyone's always on that consensus. I consider myself in kind of the minority. I don't see it that way. if you just look back at the bigger picture, there's just so much more heartfelt moments in this particular movie where it's everything's on so much more grander a scale. It ties up all the loose ends together, and it has a payoff, and that's what we needed. True, it may not be as innovative as A New Hope or as insanely impressive as The Empire Strikes Back, but point being, I love Return of the Jedi. It's just a fantastic and brilliant film to me in every aspect. An easy 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay, well, that does it for our commentary of. I was about to say The Force Awakens because it just popped up on my screen. Thank you, Disney Plus. But that was Return of the Jedi. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and may the Force be with you.